Divorce is one of the most financially complex events a person can face. The decisions made during this process can shape the next chapter of a life for decades. Welcome to Advisor in Your Corner, the podcast for individuals navigating the financial realities of divorce in California, and for the attorneys, mediators, therapists, and coaches who support them. Your host is Alex Weinberger, a certified financial planner professional and certified divorce financial analyst, bringing clarity to the questions that matter the most to you without the jargon. This is Advisor in Your Corner.
For most of the past 50 years, the playbook for hiding money in a divorce looked roughly the same. Cash in a safe deposit box, an undisclosed account at a small bank in another state, a girlfriend's apartment, a small business that quietly skimmed cash from the register. The classics. In 2026, that playbook is essentially obsolete. The cash under the mattress is gone. In its place, we have cryptocurrency wallets, gift card stacks, Venmo transfers to friends, and balances sitting inside payment apps most people have never heard of. The hiding has moved digital. Here's the part nobody tells you. All of the new methods leave a clearer evidence trail than the old ones ever did. The spouse hiding money in 2026 often believes they're pulling off something sophisticated. What they've actually created is a beautifully detailed, time-stamped, permanently archived record of exactly what they did. Today, we're talking about how money gets hidden in 2026, why the irony of digital concealment is so striking, and what to actually pay attention to if any of this is starting to sound familiar in your own household. We'll cover 5 things. First, why the old playbook stopped working. Second, the 4 most common digital concealment methods I see in cases right now. Third, why all of them leave more evidence than cash ever did. Fourth, the warning signs that a spouse might be moving money you don't know about. And fifth, what to do. And just as importantly, what not to do if you suspect something is going on. Let's get into it. The old playbook worked because cash and paper were genuinely hard to trace. Once money came out of the bank and went into a duffel bag, it was effectively invisible. The trail went cold at the withdrawal. Forensic accountants could see the gap between reported income and lifestyle spending and infer that something was off, but proving exactly where the money went often required a lucky break, a cooperative witness, or a stroke of investigative genius. That world is fading. In 2026, almost every transaction touches a digital ledger somewhere. The bank knows what you withdrew. The payment app knows where you sent it. The blockchain knows which wallet received it. The credit card company knows what you bought. The cellular carrier knows where your phone was. The car knows where it drove. The home camera knows when you came in and out. The world has become a recording device. That hasn't stopped people from trying to hide money. It has just changed what they try. Let me walk you through the 4 methods I see most often. The first method is cryptocurrency. This is the headline category. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a long list of smaller coins have moved from speculative novelty into mainstream asset class. Many high net worth households now hold meaningful crypto positions. In some cases, the position is held through a financial advisor and shows up on a statement. In other cases, the position is held in self-custody on a personal device, where the spouse holds the keys and no statement exists. Self-custody is where things get interesting from a divorce standpoint. The assets don't appear on any brokerage statement. The value can move across borders in seconds. The legitimate uses are real, but so are the opportunities for concealment. I'm going to share an example, and I want to be clear that names and identifying details have been changed for client privacy. Imagine a couple. Call them Michael and Jennifer. Married 14 years, 2 kids. Michael ran a small but successful tech consulting business. Jennifer handled the household finances. When their divorce began, Jennifer pulled together what she thought was the full financial picture. Bank accounts, retirement accounts, the brokerage account, the home equity, roughly $4 million in marital assets. What Jennifer didn't know was that Michael had been buying Bitcoin steadily for 6 years, holding it in a self-custody wallet on a small device he kept in his office. The position, when Forensic Discovery uncovered it, was worth roughly $1.8 million, half the size of everything else combined. The second method is gift cards and prepaid cards. This one surprises people. Gift cards aren't what most of us picture when we think about hiding wealth. But over the past few years, they've been used in a very specific way. A spouse will systematically purchase high-value gift cards from major retailers, often in $500 or $1,000 increments, sometimes over a period of years. The cards sit in a drawer at home or in a file at the office or in a safe deposit box. They never show up on a statement as a cash withdrawal. They show up as routine retail purchases, which are much harder to flag at first glance. Stack enough of those over time, and you have built a small, untraceable-looking pile of stored value. Untraceable-looking is the operative phrase, because as we'll see in a moment, they're anything but. The third method is peer-to-peer payment platforms. Venmo, Zelle, Cash App, PayPal, and similar services have become an unbelievably convenient way to move money quietly. A spouse might send small amounts, say $200 at a time, to a sibling, a friend, a former colleague, or a parent who then holds the money in their own account. Multiply by hundreds of transactions over a year or two, and the total can be substantial. The transfers look ordinary, the recipients look benign. The money technically lives outside the marital estate. The fourth method is online accounts and digital wallets you've never heard of. Brokerage accounts at smaller fintech platforms. High-yield savings accounts at online-only banks. Funds parked inside payment app balances. Prepaid debit cards loaded online and never used until later. Foreign currency accounts. The list is long, and it grows every year. The barrier to opening any one of these accounts is a few minutes of screen time and a smartphone. So, here's the irony. All four of these methods, every single one, leaves a trail that is in many ways easier to follow than the analog methods that came before. Cash under a mattress is unrecoverable once it's there. The trail to it is the withdrawal, but the cash itself is opaque. Cryptocurrency is the opposite. The blockchain is, by design, a permanent public ledger. Once a forensic team identifies a wallet address associated with your spouse, every transaction in or out of that wallet is visible forever with timestamps. It's the most traceable form of money in human history. The only question is whether you have the right professionals who know how to find the wallet in the first place. Gift cards seem invisible because they don't show up as cash withdrawals. But the purchases show up on credit card and debit card statements. A pattern of regular gift card purchases at the same retailers in round dollar amounts sticks out the moment a forensic accountant runs the right query. Once the pattern is identified, the redemption history of those cards is often accessible through the issuer, and the trail keeps going. Peer-to-peer payments are bank transactions. They appear on statements with the recipient's name attached. Hundreds of $200 transfers to the same sibling over 18 months is not subtle. It is, in fact, a flashing red sign that says, please come investigate this. And once a forensic accountant identifies the recipient, that recipient's accounts can be subpoenaed too, because they're now part of the trail. Online accounts and digital wallets need to be funded somehow. Funding requires a transfer from a known account. Once the forensic team has the bank statements, the unknown account stops being unknown. The pattern across all four methods is the same. The hiding spouse believes they've created something invisible. What they've actually created is a digital fingerprint, deeper and more permanent than anything their parents' generation could have produced. So, what should you actually pay attention to if any of this is starting to feel relevant to your own household? Let me share what a certified divorce financial analyst looks for, so you understand what becomes visible the moment a case begins. Look at the rhythm of the household finances. If the family used to follow a predictable financial pattern, and that pattern has shifted in the last 6 to 24 months, that's information. New accounts opened without explanation. a sudden new interest in cryptocurrency, a new pattern of cash withdrawals or gift card purchases, a spouse who's historically been transparent becoming opaque about money. None of these things prove anything on their own, but together they form a picture worth taking seriously. Look at the tax returns. The tax return is one of the most underused documents in a divorce case. It shows reported income, deductions, business activity, capital gains, foreign account disclosures, and so much more. A spouse who's hiding income can sometimes pass a casual review, but rarely passes a careful comparison of reported income to actual lifestyle. Look at device behavior. I'm not suggesting you install spyware. I'm suggesting you simply notice. A spouse who suddenly has a new phone they don't let anyone touch, a new email address you didn't know about, a locked tablet that didn't used to be locked. These are not by themselves evidence of anything, but they're signals that information is being compartmentalized. And information being compartmentalized in a marriage that's in trouble is something to pay attention to. And look at the professionals around your spouse, the new accountant, the new financial advisor, the lawyer they're suddenly speaking with. These are sometimes the first signs that planning is happening on the other side of the table. If you're listening to this and you suspect something is going on, here's what I want you to do and what I want you to not do. Do not move money yourself. Do not transfer assets between accounts. Do not withdraw cash. Do not pay down debt aggressively. Do not buy a car. The instinct to protect yourself is healthy. The execution often backfires, and the fiduciary obligations during a divorce in California are real. Your attorney can walk you through exactly what the rules are in your state. Do start gathering documents, methodically, over time. Bank statements, investment account statements, tax returns going back at least 3 years and ideally 5, mortgage documents, loan documents, pay stubs, credit card statements, insurance policies, business records if there's a family business. Get them in one place in a format you control. Do open your own email account separate from anything your spouse has access to. Use it for any communication with attorneys, financial professionals, or trusted advisors. This isn't paranoia, this is hygiene. And do speak with a certified divorce financial analyst before you make any major decision. The goal isn't to start a war. The goal is to understand the picture clearly, so that whatever path you choose it with information rather than in reaction. I want to share one more example, because the patterns at the high net worth end are often subtler than the headline cases suggest. Names and identifying details have been changed for client privacy. Imagine a couple. Call them David and Carolyn, married 21 years. David ran a private investment firm. Carolyn had been a corporate lawyer earlier in her career and had stepped back to raise their 3 children. When divorce conversations began, the surface picture looked relatively clean. The family had a sophisticated wealth advisor, a CPA who handled both individual and entity returns, and an estate attorney who managed the trust work. Carolyn had what she believed was full visibility into the financial picture. Roughly $27 million in marital assets across investment accounts, real estate, the family home, and a few small private investments. What forensic discovery surfaced over the following months was a different picture. David held interests in 3 private investment partnerships through entities he had set up after the original wealth advisor onboarding. The partnerships had been seeded with capital that had been characterized as expenses on the firm's books. The cash flows had been routed through a Cayman entity for tax purposes, with a paper trail just barely thin enough to plausibly call a tax planning structure rather than a concealment effort. The forensic accountants did not need the spouse to provide any information. They needed the tax returns, the corporate filings, the bank records, and the partnership agreements. The picture assembled itself. The case did not end with a triumphant courtroom moment. It ended with a settlement that reflected the actual marital estate, which was substantially larger than the original picture had suggested. Carolyn's outcome was different than it would have been if she had accepted the initial number without doing the work. Here's the bigger point I want you to take away from today. The fear of hidden assets is one of the most common things I hear from people contemplating divorce. They've read the headlines. They know about crypto. They know about offshore accounts. They have a vague, uneasy sense that something might be happening that they can't see. That fear is reasonable. The headlines are real. But the lived reality, in case after case, is that the people hiding assets in 2026 aren't particularly good at it. They're working with newer tools, but they're also working against newer detection methods. The blockchain remembers. The bank statements remember. The credit card statements remember. The tax returns remember. The corporate filings remember. And good professionals know how to read all of it. The asymmetry that used to favor the hiding spouse, the asymmetry of information and effort has flipped. The work of hiding money has become more sophisticated, but the work of finding it has gotten faster, cheaper, and more reliable. A good forensic accountant in 2026 can do in a week what would have taken a team 3 months in the 1990s. If you do the right things early, get organized, get professional advice, don't move money yourself, and bring in a forensic team. If the case calls for it, the picture almost always becomes clear. There's one more piece I want to leave you with, because it doesn't get talked about enough: the timing of hiding. When a spouse hides money in a marriage, the hiding rarely begins the day before they walk out. It tends to begin 12, 24, sometimes 36 months before the divorce conversation surfaces. The patterns build slowly. The crypto position grows quietly. The gift card purchases happen on a regular schedule. The peer-to-peer transfers move money out steadily. What this means in practice is that a forensic look at the household financial history needs to go back further than most people initially think. 3 years is the minimum I push for. 5 years is better. The patterns become visible in the multi-year view in a way they don't in any single year. It also means that if you are currently in a marriage that you sense is approaching divorce, the documents you can gather now, calmly, while access is still easy, are more valuable than the documents you'll be able to obtain later through formal discovery. Not because the discovery process won't work, but because the picture you can assemble informally is the foundation that lets you ask the right questions during the formal process. This is something I emphasize to anyone in the contemplation phase. The financial picture you build before anyone files anything is the picture that informs every decision that follows. The cost of that work is small. The cost of skipping it can be enormous. The new playbook for hiding money is not as clever as the spouse using it believes. And the technology that makes the hiding feel easy is the same technology that makes the finding more reliable than ever.
Thank you for listening to Advisor in Your Corner. If today's conversation raised questions about your own situation or a client's, Alex Weinberger and the team at Marriage Financial Solutions are available to help. They work directly with individuals navigating divorce and alongside the attorneys, mediators, therapists, and coaches who support them. Every engagement is handled with the discretion, rigor, and independence the moment calls for. To learn more or get in touch, visit marriagefinancial.com. If this podcast has been useful to you, please share it with someone who could benefit and subscribe wherever you listen. This has been Advisor in Your Corner. We'll see you next episode.
The information and opinions presented in this podcast, including the views of guests not affiliated with Marriage Financial Solutions, is for general informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered personalized financial, tax, or legal advice. Marriage Financial Solutions does not provide advice regarding securities or the advisability of investing in securities. Marriage Financial Solutions is affiliated with Weinberger Asset Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor, and may refer listeners to Weinberger Asset Management when investment advisory services are appropriate. However, individuals are not obligated to use the services of Weinberger Asset Management.